All right, it's Tuesday, which means the club is going up. We got the crew here, all kinds of stuff going on in the NBA streets, including our very own Andy turning into quite the Underdog NBA daily thought leader. Went 1-2 in one of the dailies the other night. We got the Albatross here with the Masters kicking off too. We'll talk a little Masters, maybe a little golf strat. NBA playoffs heating up. The Western Conference continues to get flipped on its head. And you know what? We even have some NFTs that are pumping. You will not believe this, but people like another pixelated NFT PFP project all today in the club. All right, Andy, you were on the show, I don't know, it was maybe like a month ago, and you're kind of detailing your Underdog daily strategy, kind of your process, what you're doing. Was that your first place win the other night?
It was, yeah. It was my first place and my second place. But
wow.
I almost took down both tournaments for the day, which would have been really fun. The full court press, I came in like third, and I was a few points away from also taking that down.
Goodness.
But it was crazy.
What are these prize pools?
So that night, first was 5K and second was 2.5K. It wasn't bad. I think in total that night, I actually didn't even max enter that day. Like, it's funny. Like I said in the chat, like I actually didn't take Sunday very seriously, which is like totally true. Allie and I were like having a day. I like came home in between some stuff we were doing, threw in some rankings and drafted like 50 auto drafts. And it was just one of those days. But yeah, it like depends on the day, but anywhere from 3K to like 6K to first is typically what you'll see.
Yeah, and how on your days here with the dailies, how often are you updating your ranks and then entering contests with the new updated ranks?
Now, pollen hit New York City today hard.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. I don't really have allergies. I just got hit by something. I don't know. Yeah, so my strategy there has evolved over time a bit, but now what I'm doing is I'm not drafting too much until later in the day. And again, like a lot of that comes from earlier in the season, a lot of Q tag players would play. So when a player got a Q tag, they'd start to drop in the drafts, but they were mostly going to play because, you know, it's midway through the season. Most times people aren't going to sit. Now injury news is like totally insane. Just like randomly a player all of a sudden is sick and they're on their deathbed. They can't play anymore because teams are tanking. They're jockeying for positions, whatever. Also, it does seem like there is some sicknesses going around the NBA. Like apparently the Wolves are just like actually ravaged by some sickness. And so right now I'm not really drafting I'm doing manual drafts like at night before I go to bed or something, just because I'm a degenerate. But like almost all my drafting right now will be like very close to lock. And so what I'm actually doing, I've started incorporating a little bit of randomness into my rankings.
Ooh.
And so, because I was just, if you load up your rankings and they're like a little bit opinionated, where it's like, hey, I think that this guy who's going 20th, I'm going to take him 15th. You just get so fucking much. Like, it's just ridiculous because most people just draft based on ADP. And so I'll throw in like a 5% randomness. And then if I'm doing like 100 drafts at once, or like loading up a ton, I'll like basically refresh the randomness every couple of minutes and re-upload my rankings. So that way, like mid-draft, my rankings are like slightly changing so that I'm not getting the exact same pairings over and over again. And I've actually found that that's been really helpful for like differentiating myself and not just having like I've had days where, you know, I'm high on like 3 players and then just like most of my teams have all 3 of those players. And if one of them doesn't hit, all of a sudden you're fucked. And so trying to adjust for that a little bit.
That's really interesting too, because the same dynamic comes up in traditional DFS with optimizers, right? Because if you have the set projections and you run it, you're going to end up so heavy. And then a lot of optimizers will have a randomizer function to actually, and you can throttle it up on some of them to like 200%, 500% if you really want to get out of there. And I notice I've done that before too, where sometimes the default, I'll be getting 75% of a guy. And it's like, well, I think I maybe want to be like max 25, 30%. So that's really interesting that you found a way to bring that over to like default rankings for drafts.
Yeah, and so far I've really liked it. And yeah, it's the same thing. Like looking literally today, if you look at like ETR has Anthony Davis at 3 overall, and then Joel Embiid at 4, and the point differential there is zero point 0.3 points. And so it's like really they have them at the exact same. And if you just plug in AD at 3 and Joel at 4, you will have a ton of AD and no Joel Embiid. And so it's like, it really is that what you want here? Is that kind of the optimal thing to do? And it's definitely not. And that happens all the time in these rankings. You know, the top 20 players are a 15-point gap, and that's really not that much. On any given night, one of those guys can go off. And so trying to be more thoughtful about that stuff.
Crutches wants you to stop giving away our alpha. Here's the thing, man. What Andy just described, while incredibly sharp, it also requires some effort and some time. Roll it up your sleeves a little bit. So it's not necessarily going in one year and out the other. It's more just being like, wow, that's really sharp. I'm not going to do that because I don't have the time to do it. You're fine, Crutches. Jack, how are we doing? I'm disappointed that the green screen isn't in use, but we get to see how the sausage is made behind you at least.
Yeah, I actually don't know how to use it. Our video, virtual background. I have a green screen. All right, I'm a start. Hold on. After my opening spiel, I'm gonna start playing around. But yeah, the UConn Huskies are the best team in the Big East. They're the true blue blood from the Big East, the real blue and white team from the Big East. And
you hate to hear that.
And they had one of the most dominant runs since the second best team in the Big East, who also sports blue and white. So, yeah, the tournament is fun the first 2 days, and then it's just a really bad exhibition of college kids trying to make 3-point jumpers. So if you like the sport of basketball, the tourney is probably not for you, but it was a decent tournament. So I shipped first place in no brackets, but I did bet UConn. And we're on to the NBA playoffs.
Well, I haven't seen like the national water cooler conversation or people trying to put an asterisk next to UConn just because it was a soft field and all the ones are gone, or everyone's like, no, they were the best team.
No,
they crushed everyone.
Yeah, they were the best team. And they were the best team in like the whole year besides their first 6 Big East games. And then once they figured it out, like they rated out as a 1 seed and they got a 4. It was just like a bizarre situation.
Well, they were undefeated against everyone but the Big East, right?
Yeah.
So the joke that I've seen is just that like the Big East is actually really good, and so it's just that the Big East was so good. That's the only team.
I mean, the Big East was. They had some of my favorite teams, like Creighton. You know, I thought they should have been San Diego State, and yeah, UConn was dominant, but it was fun. Like March is always a fun tourney, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Let's see. Crutches wants me to put some respect on his alma mater, SDSU. It's so funny. I had such a hard time respecting SDSU because my small dinky school that I went to, Point Loma, that at the time was in the NAIA, we would play San Diego State every year as like an exhibition. And granted, they would beat us, but they wouldn't like blow the doors off of us. They beat us by like 15 points. And we were basically like a glorified intramural team. So I never had a lot of respect outside of Kawhi Leonard as far as San Diego State. But, I got to give them some credit, Crutches. They did the job there. Clay, how are you doing? People enjoying your sneaker collection that you're flexing on all of us?
Appreciate it. I'm good. The weather's turned nice here in New York, so that's like the standout news here. I got the windows open today. It's been lovely. Things are good, man. Getting geared up for NFT NYC next week. A lot of fun stuff happening. We're throwing a party at 4040 Club on Wednesday night, the 12th. So that's Jay-Z's like sports club in New York. So I'm very stoked about that one. Looking forward to it. So we're hitting a nice little run here. Coming off of
was
Denver,
NFT
Nashville.
NYC last year in the summer when I went out
June.
for?
Yeah, when you were here.
Okay.
So they've like moved it back each year. It's so fucking weird.
Yeah. They've figured out a way to do a conference every 9 months instead of every year. So it was like October, and then it was June, and now it's
3
April,
in like 16 months.
Like
it's insane.
February or January. Because they
honestly caught me off guard.
I don't know who buys the tickets, but they make a lot of fucking money from selling the tickets to the conference, like millions of dollars. And so they were like, all right, let's keep this gravy train rolling.
I mean, I assume though, like the scale, just like the first one was what, like right coming off the peak of that first bull market last year. dipping this year a little bit. I mean, is the size and scale remotely similar to the previous years? I mean, we were joking about all the parties no longer being open bars in a year. Is that the case?
Yeah, like I mean, a lot of projects. I haven't heard of many other companies' projects really doing a whole lot. A lot of like smaller satellite meetups and stuff. I know like D-Gods, Killer Bears, and I'm not sure about Pudgy or not, Andy, but I know D-Gods and Killer Bears are really the only two I've seen throw big parties. And then if it wasn't for it being like kind of in our backyard here in New York, I'm not sure if we'd be doing too crazy of an activation. It's hard to get a read on how many people are coming in for this year. So I think it's one of those things like this week, a lot of people buy tickets last minute and kind of use it as a good excuse to link up. That's somewhat been the vibe at a lot of these this year. But yeah, we kind of had a holy shit moment in like February. We're looking at the calendar and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, NFT NYC in April, right after March Madness, right before Consensus, right before VCon, which, Andy's headlining again this year, along with Drew on our team. So it's crazy run here, but we're gonna make it work and we're very excited. And 40/40 Club will definitely be a vibe.
Andy, are you guys doing? You gonna get a bunch of We Do a Little recordings in while people are in town?
Yeah, we have a full week, like Monday through Saturday, 2 a day.
Wow.
During the day, so that'll be a lot, but it'll be good. We have an awesome list of people, and then I think probably what I'm most excited for is Die with the Most Likes is one of the guys who we did our exclusives drops with, who does all like the fucked up weird art. I don't know how else to explain it. He's doing a little day drinking one day. We're going to 169 bar, which is like one of my favorite bars in the city. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm a little bit over a lot of the like crazy NFT party stuff. I don't know. You hit 29 and all of a sudden I'm just like, I don't know if I need this. So I'm excited for it just because it's in New York and it's nice to like see people. But I'm hoping that I can generally avoid the like crazy NFT shenanigans and more just like go to some nice dinners and hang out with people during the day.
Andy, you are, famously one of the young people on this show. I'm one of the fake young, actual old people. And I just feel like the gif where I'm like, come here so I can give a hug. You come join my side of not it. And meanwile, we got these young bucks here. I mean, Jack, are you going to NFT parties? I know you're going to parties. You
drinking. How about that? I've really come over to the old head side.
So you joined? That's not true though. That's like this TikTok, like Gen X bullshit. Yeah, Gen Z bullshit. That's like no, you don't drink anymore. It's not good.
Millennials are sober curious. The Gen Zers are.
Explain this. Did you fully quit? Are you scaling back? How committed to this? Was this a bet?
It's a good question. So I've been having. I'll save you all the history, but essentially there was some correlation between drinking and throwing up. Not over drinking. But when I would eat something and then I had been drinking, I would just like throw up. And I went to a doctor. I'm fine. But I was like, all right, until I went to that doctor, like I wasn't going to drink. So I went to NBA All-Star and I didn't drink. And I was like everyone was
Salt Lake,
but like it was fine. Like it was still a fun time. Yeah, I was practically like a practicing Mormon for the weekend. And then the next time I drank, like I was perfectly fine. But then the next morning, like I'm so miserably hungover and it just, you drink and then you burn a day. And it's like, is that worth it? But drinking is just so in the culture. Like I really am having a tough time fully giving it up. Not that like, I love to drink. That's also a part of it. Like I love having drinks, having nights out, like all this stuff. But then there's also the morning after where I'm like I can't work out this morning because I had 2 drinks last night. Not even like going out late. Just I have 1 glass of wine and then the next day I don't feel like myself. So it's the Huberman young bros that aren't drinking. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a phase.
I respect that. I've had lots of thoughts about that recently. And I feel like my relationship with alcohol has like evolved a lot over the years. I used to be like, oh, I don't need to drink during the week. Like I wasn't, but when I did drink, like on the weekends, I went hard. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to enter a new era of moderation where I will have just a couple of drinks. And that's what I've been in for a while. But now I'm like spreading that out where I'm having like a cocktail or a glass of wine, like 5, 6, 7 nights a week. It's like, oh, this is this thing. And then I'm like, so I've recently, and coincidentally with you, like had it where I'm like, all right, I'm not drinking more than 3 nights a week and see if I can marry the winding it back and in moderation at the same time, because I was basically finding ways to skirt around my own little parameters. But it is a tough thing because it is fun. I mean, like I think about margaritas like fucking all the time. Like I want margaritas so much. But to your point too, Jack, about like how much like when now that we're kind of like settling into a schedule, I've been inviting some friends over, or one friend that I haven't seen in a while, like every Saturday night, be like, hey, you want to come over, see the house, see the baby?
Yeah, like,
and like it's
have
always
to
like,
have a drink.
do you want to have a drink? It's like, how do we normalize like inviting people to do something? Like people would find it weird if I was like, hey, do you want to come for a walk at my house? Well, like, why can't that be the thing? Why can't I invite you for a walk?
Why can't we do anything but the first thing is always a drink. Like I went to the Knicks game with a friend on Wednesday, and it was just like, yeah, I'm getting you drinks. Like, do we have to drink? But then obviously I have 3 tequilas and I'm screaming out at Obi Toppin, like, shoot the fucking ball and score 7 points, you know? Like it just really takes you down these rabbit holes. But yeah, it's just on a feeling basis. And I think it's funny with all, like, it's true that our generation is going to test all these hypotheses, like, why do we drink socially? You know, different diets, different, vegan, all this shit. And I could see a world where like not majority, but a lot of people go down this, like, not drinking path. Like I had to this past weekend, right? I'm here in New York and I'm like, I wonder what I'm going to do this weekend. I would love to do something fun. I had to Google like things to do in New York that don't involve drinking because everything else that you would assume that you're going to do with your friends, like, is always centered around the drink. Like obviously a day drink, but even going to a game, if you go see a Broadway show, like you got to get a drink and dinner beforehand. Like it is always centered around alcohol.
Hang on real quick. And I do think it'd be really funny. I was going to call you out. Andy, are you drinking a glass of wine right now?
Yes, I am.
I thought I caught that. And I was like, he might just be having like cranberry juice in a fancy glass, but I'm pretty sure Andy's drinking wine at 4.
No, it's a lovely chilled Chilean red. It's very nice.
Andy's been very quiet during this whole conversation.
Well, no, it's funny because actually Allie and I have been cutting back on drinking, where we generally try to, unless we are going out, not drink. It's basically just not drinking at home, unless we like have people over or something. But
can you explain?
Yesterday,
I get that.
Yesterday was a bit of a long work day, and Allie and I were like, let's have a glass of wine with dinner. And we opened a bottle of wine. And
now you got to finish the bottle.
Yeah, so we're not gonna not finish the bottle of wine. But we didn't drink the whole bottle yesterday, which is a big step up for us, honestly. Like 2 months ago, we were finishing that entire bottle in one night and like watching a bunch of shitty Netflix reality TV. Now we just sober watch Netflix reality TV.
Yeah.
The other thing that's been helping me lately is like my diet and exercise is pretty dialed in. And I think the one thing preventing me of getting to like a new location or, a new peak that I want to get to physically is just exclusively drinking. And it's like, I'm able to maintain, like I could theoretically get away with it or whatever and not hate myself. But it's just like, you put all this work doing these other things, and then you don't get to reap the full benefits because you can't stop drinking margaritas,
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
That's the other thing that I've been trying to be better about too.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but if your significant others have trouble finishing their drinks at all, but it often exacerbates the one bottle of wine problem because I just, we crack a bottle of wine. It feels wrong for it to sit there because I'm going to have like wine one night, right? Well, I don't want this to, reach in the second night. So if, then it's kind of on you to, take one for the team and finish it off a little bit. But I echo a lot of the sentiments of this combo, like especially with the wedding this year. I've been trying to think about that as well because a lot of empty calories and wasted days, which are just like brutal. So like the only times I've really been drinking have been when people are in town or going out for meetings or something. And it turns into a little bit of a night, but but
the
next mornings are
so much
tougher.
More often than like, when someone's in town and it's just like,
it's happened twice in 4 months. And that feels like the most I've done it in a long ass time.
Oh yeah. If I wanted an excuse to drink every single night, I could have one. It wouldn't be hard.
Well, that's the thing about drinking, right? Because you can spin it as a celebratory thing. You can spin it as a stress relief thing. You can say, I'm depressed and this is going to, they're literally under any circumstance. You'd be like, I'm just kind of bored. This is going to feel like you could make an excuse.
I mean,
It's nice out now. Let's go up on the roof, have a cocktail.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Summer in New York is like drinking center. Like I think all cities exasperate this. New York, that's a huge like convo, is like how New York culture is really based around drinking culture. And I think it's gotten better since we're not in offices all the time, because like happy hours were like a staple of my first 5 years in the city. And like now it's not like a thing. I don't go out for happy hour unless it's like once in a blue moon to like a wine bar or something with Stace. But it's summertime's be hard though. Rooftop.
This is the new Huberman podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Clay, be careful. So one of the first times that I like took my foot off the gas with drinking was before my wedding. This was a long time ago, coming up on 10 years. And so I went like cold turkey for like 3 to 4 months. I was like, I want to get in shape, all this. And then I had my bachelor party and I was just like hammered after 3 drinks. So you got to be careful with your tolerance levels if you go full cold turkey.
That's all right. Yeah, we find other ways to test out the tolerance. So we'll be all right.
Yeah, like could you go on a bachelor party without drinking? Like,
I don't want to.
Yeah, like it almost would, not even if it's your bachelor party, even if it's a friend's. Like, I mean, one of my friends doesn't drink, so I have seen, but now I understand why he's less like into some of the stuff we do, because it's like it sucks if you're just completely sober and standing in a crowded bar talking to people you don't know.
And that's a good point. Bachelor parties, because you're normally with a group of other people that you don't know all of them, or maybe you just know the group or one or two. And it's like, I need some social lubricant, right? For this thing. Also, I just want to point out, we were talking about like bear market vibes, like 2 years later for NFT NYC, like this show, we literally have a highlight clip of us on Tuesday nights, all just like having drinks. I would be like 4 tequilas deep, ripping packs. And now we're like, flash forward 2 years later. Yeah. None of us are drinking anymore. Our NFTs are shit.
COVID was, if you didn't drink during COVID, that would show me like that you have balls of steel or there's something seriously wrong with you.
Yeah. I do want to address this one if we're just going to lean into this as a conversation topic. Daniel says, non-alcoholic beer, try it. I have gone through this phase. I think last summer, the athletic beers are really good.
It tastes pretty good.
It tastes good. Here's my thing though. If I'm going to do that, I'd just rather have a 0-calorie seltzer than take in 120 calories or whatever in that. So that's my only problem with non-alcoholic.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think for me, like, I'm totally happy to poison my mind and body and like die when I'm 60. That's fine. I just don't want to be fat anymore. That's like essentially all that I care about when it comes to drinking.
Yeah, if you're keeping the calories or moving the fun, I don't know. The premise to me doesn't hit the same. I'd rather just go without or find a complete alternative.
What do people drink the non-alcoholics to fit in, or is it because they like the taste of beer?
I think it's because it helps. I think it also makes it a little bit more socially acceptable. You know, like if people are having it, you can have your, athletic beer and it feels like you're not being a party pooper. I think that's a part of it. And some people I think do just really, I think maybe it's also like a nicotine patch kind of thing where it's like really pulling you along for like cutting the bad habit. It's like, no, this still like triggers a Pavlovian response that I'm like drinking a beer, but I actually am not. I don't know.
The real alpha is if you're trying to like mix in a drink, a non-alcoholic drink, get a soda bitters with lime, because you'll get some respect from like the bartender and it looks like a drink. And I like the taste of bitters. Like if you like develop a taste for it, it's like really nice. Mix one of those in. That's the alpha. Then you don't look like you're drinking water because you ain't, but also sober up a little bit.
Peter Jennings, with the past 10 minutes, we've been talking about Jack has recently stopped drinking, and all of us have had a bit of our own falling outs with drinking alcohol. I believe I've heard you say similar things recently.
Except for Andy's happy hour right now.
Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been drinking, but I just went to Scissors and Scotch and had a beer. So, what's funny is my discipline with alcohol was so strong and I was doing so well. And then the second kid got here, and with the babies, I just have a desire when I'm not with the kids to just like drink and smoke and do everything else. And I haven't been smoking at all. I haven't smoked in maybe a month or something, which is
since East Denver with Deeze.
Yeah, since East Denver with Deeze might have just
Deeze will do that to him, man.
Yeah,
Jennings is still high from that.
Well, also,
Dude.
I imagine with like Deeze, it's literally like a Monday morning for him, but me, it would be like the most I've ever consumed in my entire life.
100%.
Yeah. So I have a cool Deeze story. So we hung out a bunch. It was great. Obviously, great dude, and just so many cool things going on. Interested in sports, all the stuff that we're all interested in. And so we got to hang a bunch with mutual friends and whatnot. And then kind of the last day he was here, he's like, "Oh yeah, this like famous glassblower wants to meet up in Evergreen." So we were over at our buddy Jeeb's house, and like, yeah, we'll go up there and hang with him and watch the fights. And we brought up like some good herb and some concentrates and everything else. And we get there, and I don't know how many dabs you guys have done, but I've really only done dabs like twice in the last decade, both times with these. And we get there, and they got all this crazy glass. We're like taking dabs out of this like $10,000+ piece, and like I took one dab, and dude, I was like in outer space, like couldn't comprehend anything. And these guys were just like ripping it nonstop. Like I took one and I was dead, and these guys were doing like 10+ dabs. So it was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
I'm calling 911 on myself and going straight to the hospital. Yeah. I can't.
I was like in outer space, and this place was so cool, and it was such a cool experience. And like this guy was so welcoming and warm, and everyone loves Deeze, of course, but it was just so funny. Like I couldn't have, like, I was gone, and these guys were just kept going. I was like, it's like I had one beer and they had like 20 shots, and I was the drunk one.
Unreal.
Yeah, when I was in LA, it was just like every 15 minutes they're fucking doing all this crazy shit. They're cleaning this thing out. They have these beads that they're putting inside of a Gatorade.
When you bring the torch out, you know that things are happening. You know, when you need a torch to get high, it's some serious shit.
When Deeze has to check on a separate bag for all of his drug paraphernalia, that's where you know it's gone crazy. All right, Pete, it is Masters Week. I'm sure you're blasting off in lots of different arenas. I believe are we headed towards some overlay here with the Albatross on Underdog? Have you done any of these drafts, Pete?
Yeah, I've done like 25 or so. I saw Andy in them earlier this morning. Were you auto drafting, Andy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just put in I just put in the ETR rankings, and I was auto drafting.
Yeah, so a little bit of alpha. I would shift your ETR rankings just a little bit, because I think a lot of people are doing the same thing. They're putting in the ETR rankings.
I randomize.
Oh, you randomize, so you're perfect. Yeah, then you go. I need the alpha from you, Andy, because I've mixed up the rankings a little bit. But yeah, it's a great spot.
I have a Google Doc or an Excel sheet I can share with you, where basically you can put in the rankings and then any other rankings you want, and like the underdog thing, and then put in your randomness level, and it'll spit out a new underdog ranking that's randomized based on that.
Was that what ChatGPT built for you?
No, this I built myself. ChatGPT built me an auto enter bot that will enter, you know, say like, I want to enter this tournament 15 times, and it will just do all of it.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, it's great. I hope we get some overlay, but I think it'll gain some momentum over the next little bit. But I've been doing a bunch of dance drafts. Are you guys filled up there yet, or no?
I'm at like 80.
I'm waiting.
I need more liquidity. It's so I try to do them like I've been trying to do them when I do cardio in the morning instead of doing like a NFL, and just it takes forever to fucking get people into these tournaments. I'm hoping that next week, after the Albatross fills up, we start to get some more liquidity for it.
I think so, because when is the playing game? Are we now only like a week away from that?
It locks on the 15th.
NBA ends on Sunday. Regular season ends. Play-ins start on the 11th. So yeah, week one.
So Pete, what are for the Albatross? You know, if people are using really good ranks, or the ADP is really efficient. Like, what are the other considerations than just hashtag drafting the best players?
Nothing.
Okay.
I mean, really, the inefficiencies up front, and there still are people making mistakes, is just drafting guys that are not going to play in all four majors. That's really important. But yeah, if you're using the ETR ranks, I think they're pretty solid. I helped out a bit in that. Rufus helped out a bit in that. I don't think they're perfect by any means, but they're really close. They're definitely good. So yeah, the big advantage is just making sure you're drafting guys that are playing all the majors. And for the most part, ADP's gotten somewhat efficient. I think it'll continue to get more and more efficient over the next day or two. But it's still solid, and it's a great sweat. I think it's a really fun format, and will give you a sweat throughout the year. It's definitely not as skillful as like the NBA best ball is super skillful with how you draft your teams and the correlations and what what you're stacking and what you're not stacking. Whereas golf, there's just no correlation outside of just trying to get as many holes as you can.
So if that's the case, and you guys mentioned like the randomness thing, just to make sure you're working off a slightly different set of ranks than everyone else, is there anything like at the end where you scroll down and you get a guy that's not being drafted in 100% of drafts, or does that dynamic not really apply here?
Yeah, so I shouldn't say that there's nothing. That is what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a unique team by how you draft your team, and you're trying to get guys that might be lower owned. And that's really all you could, because there's no correlation. Yeah. And there's I don't know what other factors you'd even consider other than just drafting the best guys and trying to get as many opportunities as possible.
Yeah, I should also mention baseball. He's in the Badge Bros Discord, has made some really good sheets. This is pinned in the Badge Bros golf subthread in there, but this was a very helpful viz when I was starting to look at some of these. He has some tier stuff, also showing their ADP trends. You can look at the risers, fallers, all kinds of good stuff here. So if you want this resource for drafting, I highly recommend it. And then Pete, I heard you
really
tapped
good.
in. I heard you tap in, or I tapped into your Lucky Trader show you guys were doing, and you were mentioning like the 3 clear golfers at the top, and you weren't even talking about Underdog specifically, but it looks like here, is it just like Scheffler, Rory, and Rahm? Like those guys should always be the first 3 off the board.
Yeah, and it's not even close. These are the 3 best golfers in the world. They're the 3 clear favorites for the Masters. They're taking up about 35 to 40% win equity, which is remarkable, but I think that's fair when you look at the Masters. Even though tier 2 and tier 3, you have some exceptional players, these guys are just so freaking good. And there is parity in on the PGA Tour and in golf in general, but yeah, especially for this format, you can look at the ADPs. It's like these guys are clearly favored. And Rory's actually a bit more favored than Rahm for the Masters specifically. And I've been on the Rahm as the best golfer in the world bandwagon for a long time, but it's really narrowed, and Scheffler's made a good case. And certainly after winning the Masters last year, he's kind of the clear number one and number one in the betting markets as well for this week.
Yeah. And then do you think, I guess when I did draft a few teams, kind of like looking off of these tiers, are there any other players that you think are mispriced? Are there any kind of, I guess the other kind of unique dynamic is the live golfers to that. How does that kind of play into this format?
So the one guy that I think is potentially really underpriced is Brooks Koepka. He won last week, and I follow a lot of these like golf nerds that analyze swings and all this different stuff, and he's driving the golf ball as well as he was back in like 18, 19, at least in the last couple of events. And that's a super strong signal. I believe he also played with Rory today, which is really interesting as well. And he made some comments about how he wants to be competing against the best in the world. So we'll see if there can be, like, I won't say marriage, but some peace amongst the tours where they can compete more against each other. And I think for sure Brooks is the one guy that I think might be a little bit mispriced. Some alpha on DJ. I think DJ broadly is a decent pick here. He's hyper motivated by money, more so than almost any golfer out there, which is why he went to live. And I think he's pretty fat and happy right now, both figuratively and literally. So I'd be more keen to be on Cameron Smith than Brooks Koepka.
Koepka's hot.
Love it. And what about the age-old question? What are we doing with Tiger Woods?
I mean, I think Tiger will play. Tiger really impressed me at the Genesis. That's where I was fortunate enough to play with him. That's his event. So he did play at Riviera, which is, in my view, is one of the best golf courses in the world. Great tournament. And I was shocked. I thought he was like pretty likely to miss the cut and like not to play well. And not only did he make the cut, but his ball speed, he was consistently in the high 170s, low 180s, which is like top 10% on the PGA Tour. I mean, there's that famous clip where he gave Justin Thomas the tampon after out driving him on 9. If he's really capable of that, I mean, I wouldn't say he's live to win, but he's certainly very likely to make the cut. And the markets are reflecting that. He's like minus 200 to make the cut. And we have not bet him to miss the cut, which normally we're very short Tiger over the last couple of years. So we're giving him a better projection than we have given Tiger in the past. And the only concern for Tiger, if you wanted to make a bear case, is that his foot is really the issue. And Augusta is such a hilly place that walking this course for 4 days is not going to be ideal. But I think he'll play reasonably well. This is definitely his best chance. I would not be drafting him in these best ball spots as much, just because I think he's going to struggle more at the other majors. But I think Tiger can play pretty well here at Augusta.
I would also imagine too that Tiger is just one of those guys when people are getting toward the end of their draft, people always like clicking a name they recognize, and he's probably overdrafted relative to what you can expect.
Oh, and he goes like, that's what you're hoping, is that he just like goes like early. You just have like a Tiger truther in your draft and he goes in like the 20s or 30s, which happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
Are there weather concerns this weekend, Jennings, that you're keeping track of?
Yeah, weather's going to be a big factor. We I would wait till tomorrow to make your final decisions, but it does look like there's going to be a weather wave, and we just got tee time. So we got tee times earlier. I need to do a little bit more work tonight to kind of see where everything finishes out in terms of projections with the weather, but it's certainly looking like it's going to be a factor this week, which is important.
Yeah, I believe I saw those pop up on the Underdog Twitter feed earlier today. They had them all in a handy chart here. So what are you doing? You're making sure, like, if you are trying to time the weather wave and making sure that you're not, say, over correlating golfers who are all going off in a bad weather period. Is that the thought?
Yeah, and the dream scenarios, which we used to have back in the early days of DFS golf, where people weren't paying attention, like at the Open Championship, you could get huge advantages with a big weather edge, where there'd be like a 2-stroke or a 1.5-stroke differential, which is massive. This time, and most times, you're looking at like a 0.2, 0.3, maybe a 1/2 stroke differential. 1/2 stroke's quite large between the waves. And also there's specific waves with like the actual times themselves. So there's less golfers in this tournament, and yeah, it's something to monitor, but you can kind of tell, like, not all early lates are the same, and not late earlies are the same either. They're going off at different times. So something to monitor. And our good friends over at ETR, they'll have really great projections. Rufus does a great job with the weather.
Nice. Any other, I definitely want to hop in one or two of these, but any of you guys have any other Masters thoughts, PGA questions?
My early question for Jennings is, yeah, who's the outright winner alpha? Who are we on this week?
Rory. We're on Rory, big time. But the market's already moved a little bit towards Rory. Yeah. So,
yeah. Why?
His stats are looking great so far to start the year. He has broadly pretty good course history. And now he's like same price as Scheffler, so he's probably not an outright bet. I think a lot of that has to do with some of the bets that these groups have been making, but I think he should be right there as the favorite, if not the definitive favorite. And he originally wasn't priced that way. And the big thing is his driving has just been ridiculous to start the year. So we'll see. Certainly Scheffler's right there as well. And this is a weird spot where normally we're pretty high on Rahm, and we're still high on Rahm, but not as much as the market.
Give us a bomb. Give us a long odds bomb to sprinkle in.
Yeah, I really like Justin Rose, Adam Scott. Some of these like older players that are still kind of at the tail end of their prime, but have really good course history at Augusta, I think are really good. And Jason Day. But Jason Day's gotten super popular, and now there's like you can't even bet. You can't bet Jason Day. So a lot of people bet Jason Day ahead of this week because he's been playing really well. He played really well at the match play as well. But yeah, some players like that I think are good setups. And one other thing too, that a lot of people have differing opinions on course history. Course history matters more at Augusta than any other course by like orders of magnitude. So that's something else to pay attention to.
Love it. Jack, do you ever make any golf content?
We don't make a lot of content. I last year I threw $1,000 on a future for all 4 majors. I went 0 for 4, but my biggest gambling win ever was at the Masters. Scheffler won the Masters, right? Yeah. Was the Masters. It was Friday at like 6:00, and he had just birdied 9 or 10. And I think he had like a 6 or 7 stroke lead or something. And I thought that PointsBet hadn't adjusted the odds. And for some reason, I had a disgusting amount of capital in my account. And so I just like unloaded it all to find out that plus 110 was like his real odds because it was only, Friday. But thankfully there was a scare on Sunday, but no, he ended up winning I guess he only won by 1 or 2 because he 4-putted 18.
When are you going to release your sports betting course, Jack? This sounds like quite the thrill.
Take advantage of lines you think are all, by my projections, he actually should have been. No, that's why I'm looking for an outright winner. So
there you go.
Maybe Rory will be the guy. See,
I think Rory's still. I think Rory's still a decent pick, but the value, like, there's some plus 900s out there, plus thousands before. Now he's like plus 700 everywhere, and that's like kind of where he should be priced.
But what I learned from my extensive sports betting career is that if you bet on the guy who wins, they'll still pay you. So it's better to bet him. If he's gonna win, like I'm a ride him. So you just let me know if the data backs him.
I don't think this is getting clipped and put on the unabated social feed anytime soon. So then a question about the 101 in here. If the betting odds are pretty close on Scheffler and Rory, and then there's a slight gap to Rahm, why is Rahm ahead of Rory? Is there a scoring differential aspect of what
this is for all 4 majors, and Rahm will be. Yeah. I think Rahm should be like the actual favorite, like a U.S. Open. We'll see. I mean, did we have LA Country Club this year? Like, that's a great course for him. These guys are all so freaky. Like, Scheffler, Rory, and Rahm are just like all unbelievable. Like, and you can make an argument that all 3 of them are the best player in the world. Scheffler and Rahm have gone by. I mean, Rahm has already won 3 times this season. It's crazy. No one's won that 3 times this fast since like Tiger Woods. So, yeah, that's a really early Finau pick.
I know. I was like, whoa.
Guys, I've done 2 of these drafts, and I've gotten the 101 in both. Everyone just relax. Just the odds, mathematically it's going to happen.
I want to hear why Jack has fully given up drinking. The Huberman pod was a big one for me for a while, but I've been back on the wagon, and I have a big dinner tonight, so that's why I'm drinking my beers.
No, we discussed. I didn't fully give it up, but I had to stop drinking for a week, and I noticed I didn't have like this oh my God moment where I was like, oh my God, I sleep so much better, anything like that. But when I do drink, I'm so much like I'm hungover. It kind of burns a day. I'm way less productive. I don't work out, or I don't have a good workout. So I've just found myself when I don't feel the need to, like, I just won't have a drink. But like I said, last Wednesday, like I went to the Knicks game and he was like, let's get drinks before. And I was like, all right, like, yeah, of course. Let's go have a fun time.
Anything Smith I should do here, Pete?
The chalk.
The chalk.
I like Cam Young a decent bit too, but
we'll chalk it up for now.
Chalk it up for now.
What's your big dinner, Pete?
I'm getting there's a big poker game actually tonight. I'm not playing, but Levitan is. I might play later on, but we got a PGA Tour golfer in there. Kevin Hart and Russell Westbrook have played in this game historically. It's the big Denver game. So there's a dinner before that I can't make, and then there's a group of us that are meeting for dinner afterwards.
Okay. Is this the game where Levitan always felt sheepish pulling up in his Honda Pilot or whatever because of all the other cars that were out in front of the house?
Yeah, this is that game. Levitan's known as one of the knit bros in this game. He kind of got banned from this game, so he's back in tonight though.
Like, but Levy in like tournament structure is like he's an aggro player, but is it just the stakes in this are so high he's tightening up?
He doesn't even play that tight. He just is like labeled a knit bro.
Jennings, do you like Hatton or Fleetwood?
Hatton. Sorry.
No, save Hatton for us, Clay. Come on.
We're getting out of my territory.
What are we talking about as far as the blinds in this game, Pete?
They're anywhere from like 25-50 to like 100, 200, 400. There's
is this getting like straddled out of control, or it sticks to that?
It depends. Sometimes the gameplay is like if Kevin plays, then the gameplay is massive. The game will play 100, 200, 400, but like people will win or lose $1 million plus in the game. Six figures is common, but that's kind of specific to him. This is more of a friendly Shane Lowry and Corey Connors. Bingo.
I already took Fleetwood. Sorry. I heard you say Fleetwood before.
I like Corey Connors a lot. I might, yeah, that's fine. I like both those guys over Fleetwood.
Well, in trying to help Clay, you submarined our group team, so this is just a total disaster.
Well, now Clay gets Connors.
Sure. It worked out well.
Corey Connors just won, and Corey Connors also has one of the best relative course histories at Augusta, and it's a really good course for him. He's a really bad putt. Go ahead.
I was going to say Colin at pick 10. That was my real steal of the draft so far.
Yeah. We're a little less high on Colin, but that's still at 10. I like Colin.
Who's your favorite sleeper late in these drafts?
Taylor Montgomery. I wouldn't even say he's a sleeper, but that's a Peter Jennings bias. He's the son of Monty Montgomery, who's the GM of Shadow Creek. He's been prevalent in the Vegas gambling games, and it's now as his tour card. So he's buddies with a lot of our friends, really close. He was actually the caddy for Ben Lamb and the member guest. Wow. I'm happy he's got his card because he had a brutal story. Talk about a bad beat. This is crazy. He finished 26th back-to-back years. I'd go Rose and Minwoo.
Chalk it up.
You're just riding the. But all the good guys are falling to you. You've had a good draft.
Okay.
Other than the Fleetwood, I would have gone.
Well, that's how we get unique. That's how we get unique.
I still like Fleetwood. But anyways, 26. So top 25 get their tour cards. So the first year he bubbled in like somewhat of a gross way. And then all he needed to do is make the cut to guarantee a tour card the following year. And, this is someone who's like dominating the Korn Ferry Tour, is like 90% plus to make the cut. And I think he made like a bogey or double bogey on the last hole to miss the cut by one to finish 26th of 25th, because he still could have gotten in if like certain things happened over the weekend. But 26 back-to-back years for Taylor Montgomery, and finally he's on tour, and he's actually the best putter on the PGA Tour, which is a nice little stat for him.
Interesting. Pete, have you what's your golf schedule going to look like now that the it's starting to become golf season in Colorado here? Actually, let's make these picks. Tiger, right?
Taylor Moore and Scott Stallings.
Okay.
I'm gonna laugh when Fleetwood wins the Masters this weekend.
I hope he does. That'd be his first PGA Tour win.
It's in the cards, Pete. Over there, you got to put a outright winner ticket on Fleetwood now. Really double down.
All right, I already did two of them that Pete meant. You mentioned Rose and Adam Scott, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do Fleetwood too, just for the content play.
For the vibes.
All right, there we go. I forgot to bet. I had it's been funny with my college buddies. We've been putting just a communal group long shot bet. We hit Argentina for the World Cup and we hit UConn. We did 3 for March Madness. So I got to keep these long shot bombs rolling.
That's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
You guys want to do one dance? Or you guys got to
yeah. Let's wrap up with a dance. I'm still addicted to those. And I get basically what happens is I'll poke my head in the Discord or see something on Twitter. I'll be like, oh, I need to start changing how I'm drafting, because someone will be like, hey, Peter, the Wolves aren't going to make the playoffs anymore. And I'm like, hey guys, Anthony Edwards and Cat are free at the end of drafts now. And then I figure out why that is. So I need my annual or my weekly check-in on the landscape.
Yeah. Also, please do us a favor. Message Rudman, hit him up on Twitter. We're trying to get some sort of higher stakes NBA playoff best ball, and it doesn't seem like it has much momentum. So I hope we get it. But
I would be happy to host a little high stakes dance contest stream or something. We should get that.
Yeah, send a note to Nick or Liz, because I was messaging him this morning and he said unlikely.
All right, I'll ask.
We need to make that happen.
Who's my last pick here?
My boy. Taylor.
Okay.
Best putter on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, let's do it.
Dude, I messed that one up. I took Ricky on accident. I did
Yeah,
not,
see, Ricky's the
did
fish
not mean
man.
to. Yeah, well, I didn't mean to.
Okay.
I usually just like fucking top the fucking queue because all these people are driving
That-
out before
that-
he missed the cut.
That was the
Masters.
edge because he might not play many majors at all.
Yeah. That was a bummer. Oh shit, I'm gonna miss this too. Damn. I'll be in the overflow dance draft.
Anyone have a good March Madness with UConn? Because I know in that I saw
Jack
that on
did.
Twitter. A
Yeah.
lot of people called UConn. Jack, you had a good.
Yeah, I won 5,000 on him.
Oh baby,
Yeah, it was
Love
a good
hearing
hit.
that.
Yeah, Jack.
They
and
were.
Chad
It's
crushed
funny.
that.
They were like
His faces.
they were like the consensus team to bet, and I feel like a lot of people did bet them, but also a lot of people didn't bet them.
Yeah,
Which is like
they're clearly
were-
the best team.
yeah. Like even before the tournament, though, people were like they might be the best team, or they were definitely the most undervalued team. And then I think they got bet down a little from like I got them at 21-1, but then I think they were 18-1, and then like all the way down to 13-1 after the first game. And people are like, it's not good value, but like I said, they pay you with the winner. Put that on unabated.
That's true. Yeah. No, there's no denying that they pay you with the winner.
What
Yeah,
are you guys
Pete
doing?
doesn't even have the ETR best ball ranks loaded in.
I know, I'm such a fraud. You know what? I'm an ADP bro. I never load ranks in for the best ball contests because I like to see what my opponents are doing. What do you guys? How are you guys handling like the Ja Morant stuff? Just knowing, a lot of people were getting him a lot cheaper. Now he's like a 1 or a 2-3 turn pick or whatever. Are you guys avoiding him, or are you also saying, hey, only 30% of this contest is filled? That's not a huge amount of teams that got him at an extreme value.
Yeah, my view is that you just try to draft the best team currently. Because a lot of people also are taking Luka and Kyrie and a lot of these guys. But yeah, some of the early teams are tough to beat. Like if Memphis, the Lakers, or the Warriors do well, it's gonna be really tough to beat some of the teams that are drafted early.
So we get normally you do not get a rogue Drew Holiday pick here, so this is going to create some slightly different pairings than you normally get in the first couple.
Morant
rounds.
Holiday turn is a bit of a crazy turn there.
Yeah. This is.
If I take KD 5, I almost always take Booker at 7 or at 8 if I can get him. But Jaylen Brown sounded kind of fun. Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow, this is definitely weird.
I don't think I have a lot of Booker Tatum pairing, so I decided to pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, we're opposites. I have KD Brown. You have Booker Tatum.
You want to execute a trade?
We'll see if Crutches does me a solid here and just takes 2 Milwaukee guys or not. Gamble.
An agent of chaos.
Okay.
Wow.
Baby. Okay. What'd you took Tatum and Booker?
Yeah.
Ayton season?
Yeah, I probably should. Yeah, I was thinking of Sabonis, but might as well.
I like Ayton way better there. Tatum Booker's unique as hell.
That's what I'm thinking. Just like chalk it up when you get a super unique pairing.
Yeah. Phoenix Boston is like one of the most likely combos in the finals. And the thing about the Boston stacks is, it's Robert Williams and Horford go pretty early, and they're not exactly points per game crushers.
Right.
Ayton's fallen off with KD being there, but he's still better than those two.
Yeah, it's my biggest challenge with Ayton is just like, I feel like he really has not done much. I'd be worried about what I'd be worried about with him if he's your main big man is that they're going to have a 4-game series against like the Clippers.
Who?
And then like, I don't know, is he really going to put up enough points for you if he's your main big man? Like, if I take him, I want to get a big man who I think is going to play a 7-game series and like do well later on, because I'm not very convinced in his production.
Why can't they play? I mean, they could play the Lakers, they could play the Warriors. I mean, the Clippers aren't. I agree without Paul
they'll
George.
crush the Clippers.
I'm the biggest Suns bull, but I think it still goes 5-6 games. This is crazy. This is shaping up in such a weird way.
Yeah, the Lakers seem like fully live to win the whole thing now.
Yeah,
They do, for sure.
Those tickets 2 months ago are looking real juicy.
Are you guys drafting any other Laker besides D'Angelo Russell at the end? Or not even
Reeves.
D'Angelo? You're drafting Reeves?
I'm starting to, yeah. I have. If I get Russell, AD, and LeBron, I'll take Reeves. And they have like a crazy plus minus. Like AD, LeBron, and Reeves together on the court is like the best trio in the NBA right now.
I like Reeves a lot as a late round pick. He's pretty solidly in the not just the rotation, but now with LeBron and AD back, as you were saying, Jennings, like the starting unit, a lot of run, guaranteed minutes last little stretch here.
God damn it, Crutch is taking everyone that I want.
Mobley, the ETR guys just steamed the Cleveland guys.
For one round, 4 games? Seems risky.
After what I had money on the Cavs versus the Knicks, like a pretty big bet. And I was thinking of you, Jack. Brunson just went absolutely ham.
Insane.
And Mitchell had a great game too, but that's the thing. And this is why I've been short the Knicks. I think Randall is super overrated, but the rest of the team is so good.
Yeah. That's where the other day I was at the game and I was like, when shit gets tight, it's either Randall and ISO, which is not going to turn out well, Brunson and ISO, which can be fine.
That's fine.
But then the late shot clock is like Hart, Barrett, contested threes, and that shit's never going to fly in the playoffs. But now quickly, like if they close with quickly, yeah, he could be dynamic. But Mitchell's going to have one of the greatest playoff series against the Knicks. And they should be good enough, I mean, between Garland and the bigs to beat us. But I don't know. That win was probably like a huge, all the players after the game were like, yeah, it's just a game. But that's probably a huge confidence boost going in there without Julius and winning that game. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I was super impressed. And Mitchell Robinson has been so solid. I mean,
who's been crazy is Hartenstein.
One of the best backup centers.
Yeah, well, his net rating right now is higher than Jokic over the last look
at his net rating every year. He's insane every year.
So they'll probably close with him, and Josh Hart has been great. And Tibbs has pulled the right strings. Like if Barrett's on, he'll play. If he's not, Grimes has been on fire. He'll play quickly. So it's fun. We'll see what happens though.
I think they'll still play Robinson because some of the stuff that doesn't show up necessarily always in the stats, are just like shots that aren't taken around the rim. And I think Robinson is just such a monster from a rim protection standpoint.
For sure.
But I agree. Hartenstein's great too. I mean, you have like if Robinson's not there mentally, which could happen any game, you have a great option. I really just think I just having the ball in Brunson's hands versus having the ball in Randall's hands at key moments is just a huge upgrade.
Has to be. Is there any number that you think the Knicks are live at, or that you think is bettable? Like if they were posted 1,000,
if someone offered me 1,000 to 1, I'd take the Knicks for sure.
Is that the lowest you would bet them though?
I'd probably take them like 200-300 to 1. I mean, they just need injuries. If Embiid and Giannis get hurt,
right?
If Tatum got hurt, or like if you had like a parlay of like whoever you're playing, their superstar gets injured in the East, because they're gonna have to win 2 tough series where they need injuries, I think. But that could happen.
I mean, Embiid to
They
get
could-
injured,
they could beat
that's
anyone
like
in the West.
even money. That's
They
it,
could
like
beat any-
even money.
They could beat anyone in the West, I think.
Yeah.
The Suns are scary if they stay healthy, but
Yeah. All right, I gotta run. See you, fellas.
All right, Jack.
Yep.
We'll talk to you later. I keep letting these Celtics go, hoping one will come back, and then Andy just keeps gobbling them up.
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of a weird draft here, but got a
That's
little
always like a
four
shitty
Celtics
feeling.
and then a bunch of studs out west, but like one-offs.
oh, I just fucked up on accident. Didn't matter.
A little Jordan Poole action.
I meant to pick Draymond and then Poole, but whatever. I have such a weird team.
Let's see.
Yeah,
What
same.
do you have?
I have the Nuggets and Warriors and then Middleton.
So then, are you trying to get to 4 Nuggets and 4 Warriors?
I have that.
Okay.
I have this. I have the studs for both. I have the top 4 for both those teams in Middleton.
I think that's nice. I think
Looking
that's
really
love
good
it.
in the West. Looking really
You're
good in the
not
West.
an Andrew Wiggins bull.
I am an Andrew Wiggins bull. That's like my second most popular player.
I've been drafting him a lot, and hence I took him in this draft.
I saw that.
I have AD
Cool.
like 30 some percent and Wiggins like 30% through 120 drafts.
Who is the best like stud flyer between Shea, Trey Young, or Siakam?
Shea, in my opinion.
Yeah, Shea has.
He's playing tonight. It seems like they want to sneak in there as a 10th seed. Like they're not overtly tanking. His upside is just next level. And
Are the Raptors going to make the playoffs?
Probably not.
No.
Probably they're a playing team. I'm not sure if they'll.
well, they played the Hornets
Yeah.
tonight, and if trends hold, Hornets are crushing all of these like teams in the East, trying to get there, and the West. So Hornets are
God, I
probably
have
gonna
no idea
end
who
up
to
winning
take
tonight.
right here.
But the Raptors are like running a super tight rotation as always.
That was a weird. I don't know who I should have taken. There's no one good. I could have taken like Siakam, I guess. But
Yeah,
For a 10.
I've been taking flyers on Zion when I get down here and don't know who to take.
I think Zion is a great flyer. He
Yeah,
resumed
I
3-on-3 practice.
It's exciting.
Ingram has been outrageously good.
Yeah, he's having the best little kind of streak of his career here. He's been playing so well.
Would you guys
Yeah.
take? Are you guys taking McCollum too?
No.
I never get far enough. Like for me, those taking Ingram and Zion is just like my team's filled out. I feel pretty good about it, but I could use a little more upside for the first round. Let's grab Ingram and Zion. But I'm never like playing them to win 2 series or something, and so getting 3 is a lot.
I think I backstacked.
That's
all
actually probably-
last 3 rounds though, on 1 or 2 drafts.
I think that's actually probably a decent strategy is to take the 3 because I like if Zion comes back, they could win the West. And like no one has done that. Like through this so far, like no one has done that.
Yeah.
So probably some unique builds like that are probably best. Like the Lakers stuff, like I mentioned, there's a couple teams that have really steamed. The Lakers, the Warriors, and I thought there was one more. Maybe not. The Lakers and Warriors stuff for sure. Like people have some insane teams from when they the Memphis. Lakers, Warriors, and Memphis. Those 3 teams are much harder to build like superstar teams with those mixed in versus where they're going now. So I think in order to get unique, mixing in some of those other teams probably makes more sense.
Yeah.
New Orleans being one of them. Minnesota could still do it, even though they've been fading.
Yeah. And both like those pairings now. I mean, the Minnesota pairing is very cheap now in drafts, and I assume the Dallas stuff is just dead, right?
Dead. They're like 6% to make the playoffs. And Cleveland for the alpha out there, Cleveland's going to steam huge with ETR being super high in Cleveland. So that's another one. If you're drafting now, I'd get Cleveland before their ADPs change.
That's very good to know.
Yeah, Mavs starting to shut down Luka and Kyrie, so they're throwing in the towel.
They're done.
Yeah.
Well, Lucas said he's playing this next game.
hasn't mattered the last 5. So
No, yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, Brandon, it's crazy how Brandon saying in the chat, I got Ja at pick 30 on this stream a few weeks ago. I mean, the way the West just continues to flip like nightly with ADP movement has been crazy. I feel like the Lakers have just like ping ponged around since I started drafting. All right. Fun show, guys. Hope everyone has a lovely Masters week. Get in the Albatross. Join us in the dance. If you want to battle with Andy for his NBA Daily Crown, you can do that as well.
Currently doing my drafts right now.
Get your
Running
randomization. Your randomization figures going.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'm gonna have time to. There's like so much injury news today that people are waiting on. The big one being Jokic, who, if he plays, he projects as the top pick in the draft, but he hasn't played for multiple games in a row and no real idea whether or not he's going to. And so it's one of those days where the best thing to do is wait as long as you possibly can, but you can't do that and also enter 150 times. It doesn't work.
For sure. All right. Fun show, guys. We are here every Tuesday. This is the club. Remember, it's okay if you need to invite your friend over, not for a drink, but to go for a walk. Let's, remove the stigma of hanging out, always having to revolve around drinking. We'll see you guys next time.